Hello and welcome to this week's Why Football podcast with me, Michael Dryden, and Etches Adokru. How are you, Etches?
Nervous.
Very nervous, why?
Yeah, fancy football this week. I took out Son last week. He obviously bagged 4 goals, as everyone's aware of. And this week, I've had the tough decision, as we spoke about earlier, whether I should bring Son back in for Fernandes or bank on KDB tearing up Leicester. I've opted for Fernandes to come back well against Brighton and for KDB to tear up Leicester, but I am nervous. I am very nervous.
Fernandes is too much money for me, too expensive for what he is. I mean, the numbers he put in lockdown or after the restart last year or this year were fantastic, but 10.5 mil is quite expensive.
You think he's too expensive?
I think he's too expensive.
We'll agree to disagree. But yeah, also moving today, leaving my lovely flat here to move to a new flat. In case anyone's wondering, ordered a zip fan, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah, I did that as well. It's very cheap.
I can imagine you being pretty poor behind the wheel, to be honest.
Oh god, it was shaky. I must have travelled about 3 miles, and I was shaking the whole way.
Yeah, aside from that, buzzing for that. Yesterday, I have to apologise as well to my pro club's teammates. They normally listen in. I got a straight red card at 0-0, and we lost the game. We lost the game. I don't know what the score was because I turned my PlayStation off in anger.
Oh, you're that guy.
Yeah, but we did lose.
Quitting.
Yeah, we did lose. I have to apologise to them, and also as well. Like I quite like facts. Recently, what's been happening is my facts have been really incorrect. I've dropped a few clangers, so that's been quite tough to.
Examples.
What did I say the other day? Oh, I said Arsenal are the most followed club on Twitter. And that was just completely wrong. Like, it's absolutely like...
You said it was the most followed club in the Premier League. I believed it. I said to someone else, and they were like, nah.
It's like completely wrong.
Liverpool, United, surely.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of soul searching to do on that one. But anyway, how are you doing, Dryden?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm braced for the lockdown, which hopefully will not happen. And if it does, it will dampen my spirits. I've captain Son against Newcastle this week. I've had him from the start, so I didn't do the old switch to Fernandes that I kind of was considering before one of my drafts. I have got KDB in my team, but yeah, the captaincy will go to Son. Although Newcastle did beat them at White Hart Lane last season, so it was a bit of a gamble. But after scoring 4 times, you can't argue with those numbers. Sunderland are actually also unbeaten in League One. Just thought I'd bring that up. I thought I'd mention that. Although that could change by the time this episode goes out on Monday, because we have got a game tomorrow against Peterborough, and we are not sure we're a title winning outfit yet, but we'll see.
You support Sunderland?
I do support Sunderland.
Know that. Yeah.
Huge outfit. This week, Etches will be telling us all about Lev Yashin, his footballing career, how he changed the game, and his legacy. Before we start, please follow us on Twitter at yfootball_ for our latest content. Please also follow and subscribe with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Acast for immediate access to future episodes. So, Etches, why did you pick this topic?
Yeah, so after successful seasons, many of the world's best players win multiple accolades, either individually or collectively with their respective sides. If it's Ronaldo, it's normally a Ballon d'Or. And a Champions League, if it's Messi, it's a La Liga title, and a Ballon d'Or as well, aside from the Pinchy Trophy, or if it's in England, the Golden Boot. So when we talk about the Ballon d'Or specifically, some of the best players in the world have won it. Ronaldo, the original R9, Messi, the Ronaldo we know now, Cannavaro, Nedved, Bobby Charlton, Michel Platini, some of the world's greatest and most established names. The first award was given to England and Blackpool great Stanley Matthews back in 1956. Since then, only 2 defenders have won the award, Franz Beckenbauer twice, legend, and Fabio Cannavaro after Italy's heroics at the 2006 World Cup. People like Dino Zoff for Italy, Oliver Kahn and Manuel Neuer have all featured near the summit of the Ballon d'Or voting system. But only one man has won it, and that man is Lev Yashin. To those of you who are scratching their heads being like, who's Lev Yashin, you will soon find out. He is said to have revolutionised goalkeeping in football.
Yeah, I can't say prior to you raising this topic that I'd actually heard of him. And I don't think many people would have heard of him. Obviously, he was around quite a long time ago, and nor was I aware that the Ballon d'Or had only been won by one goalkeeper. I mean, I'm not overly surprised, given the way that attacking players are romanticised in any sport, and how voting has been the last 20 years or so. Obviously, we've seen Ronaldo and Messi pick up a number of those awards. It was even surprising to see Modric win it, not because he isn't a brilliant player, because he is, as we all know, an excellent central midfield player. It's just the fact that he's not a forward, not a wide player or a striker. So that was even surprising from that point of view. And I wonder who in the post-Messi and Ronaldo world, when we get there, because Ronaldo might play until he's 60, but I wonder who will be collecting those awards. Will we see some defenders coming in, some goalkeepers?
Will Grigg, maybe?
Will Grigg, I can confirm to the podcast, is not on fire. And I've not been one. A lot of fans have been on his back. I want to give some time because he's got a proven record at League One. Watched him in the first game against, we were at home to Bristol Rovers. We play a 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1. Grigg needs to be more energetic. He's not. So he got taken out. But he was replaced by Danny Graham. And things are going pretty poor when you get replaced by a 35-year-old Danny Graham, who didn't do loads as well. So if anyone wants to find out more about Sunderland's League One season, just drop me a DM or something. We can have a conversation. So moving on, Etches, tell me a bit more about Lev Yashin.
So Lev, God, I couldn't get that word out there. Lev Ivanovich Yashin, aka the Black Spider, was born back in Moscow in 1929. He was born into a family of factory workers, and due to World War II, was drafted at the age of 12 to work in a factory. Can you imagine working in a factory at 12?
Yeah, I was just playing FIFA pretty poorly. Had spots, braces. I wouldn't have been very good behind a conveyor belt, that's for sure.
Thanks for sharing there, Jordan. Playing for the factory youth team, he was eventually picked up by Dynamo Moscow. The only reason he was playing football at the time was because the factory didn't have an ice hockey team. Whilst at Dynamo, Lev played for both the hockey and football team before settling into the latter after breaking into the first team for football. On the hockey side, though, he was actually quite accomplished, winning the USSR Ice Hockey Cup in 1953 and was third in the USSR Ice Hockey Championship as the goalkeeper. He actually had his whole career at Dynamo Moscow, playing over 100 times for the club. He was noted for his nerves of steel during his playing days, and Lev claimed that his secret was a cigarette to calm his nerves and a shot of vodka to tone his muscles before a game, which I might try. I may as well try it and see what happens.
On the topic of factories, going completely off subject, Mike Riley used to work in a chicken factory.
Cheers.
Just thought I'd throw that one in there. On a more relevant but equally bizarre topic, Jamie Vardy actually confessed to drinking port out of a Lucozade bottle the night before a game, and that he drinks 3 Red Bulls on game day before the game. So he really is charged up before he gets on the pitch. So what about his international career, Chez?
Yeah, the international stage is where Yashin made his name. He represented the USSR at 3 World Cups, winning 74 caps for his country, collecting a European Championship win in 1960. All the way back in 1958 was where he made his mark. It was actually the first World Cup to be internationally broadcast.
Oh, wow.
And the Soviet Union headed into the tournament facing England, Austria, and eventual champions Brazil, who featured a young 17-year-old boy by the name of Pele in the round-robin stage. They ended up reaching the quarter-finals before losing to host Sweden 2-0. But that didn't stop Yashin's skill set from going unnoticed. He was voted the tournament's best goalkeeper and was credited with making some spectacular saves in the group stage loss to Brazil, and was seen from that moment on as the world's best keeper. Yashin actually collected a league title with Dynamo Moscow in 1959 before winning the maiden European Championship in 1960. The format then actually, I'm laughing because it's just so random. The format then was very different to how it is now. So in Euro 2020, we're set to have 24 sides competing for glory.
2021.
Whereas in 1960, well, it's still called the Euro 2020. It's not 2021.
Surely they changed the name.
They're not changing the number. They said this Euro 2020, but next year.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Feel free for anyone to at me on Twitter if you disagree. My DMs are open. But back to the Euro in 1960, that version had 4 teams. How can you have 4 teams? They're lucky.
4 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, 4 teams in the whole tournament, and they're lucky for the Soviet Union, France, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia.
Yeah, I feel as if England should have entered, because that would have been a very, very good opportunity to bolster the old trophy cabinet, which at that point was incredibly bare.
Yeah.
And still is fairly bare.
Yeah, sadly. The Soviet Union beat Yugoslavia 2-1 after extra time. Within the final, Yashin was named keeper of the tournament again. The success meant that Yashin was nominated for the Ballon d'Or in both 1960 and 1961, coming 5th and 4th. So, he was very well known around the world and was seen as elite. With his stock incredibly high, Yashin entered the 1962 tournament again as the world's best keeper, but made some uncharacteristic errors, as well as getting concussed twice during 2 separate games and then continued both of them. Can you imagine? Just clean knocked out, get back up. Yeah, I'm ready to go. So yeah, that happened to him during the game, and he was kind of seen as quite human. I think before he had this aura of being invincible, but his mistakes during that tournament didn't reflect too well on him. The Soviets again exited at the quarterfinal stage.
If he's concussed, bring on another shot of vodka, I'd say, and the magic sponge.
Magic sponge. Yeah, the magic sponge probably did wonders for him. He bounced back strongly in 1963 to eventually win the Ballon d'Or, with his famous nickname, the Black Spider, being created due to him wearing all black from head to toe. It's actually very dark blue, but with black and white TVs, it looked black. Fun fact for all of you, which I'm sure is actually correct this time, not incorrect.
Yeah, for some reason, I've never seen a picture of Lev Yashin. I can only seem to picture Julian Speroni in my head, just because he wore pretty much a black tracksuit. For his 15 years at Palace, actually. I looked on Wikipedia before the podcast. He spent some time there. So, Etches, a question for you. Would you be a tracksuit goalkeeper, or would you be wearing shorts? And would you be wearing long sleeve or short sleeve like your good man, Bernd Leno?
Long sleeve and shorts.
You can't be wearing trackies anymore, can you?
No, and also as well, I'll probably wear a cap every single game.
Yeah, you've got to wear a cap, like Joe Hart. Pickford likes a cap as well. And Petr Cech has obviously got his helmet on, which on FIFA is too funny. I saw a photo of Cech, actually. I think it was yesterday. He was talking to Edouard Mendy, not wearing the helmet, and just didn't recognise him.
Oh, really? Yeah, not surprised.
I haven't seen him without it in about 20 years.
Moving back to Speroni, actually a restaurant in Purley called Speroni's, Shock, and it was good food.
Boy, he owns it.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. It was there for a bit, but yeah, it was decent food.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Moving back to Lev Yashin, Pele stated that someone once said that a team with Pele started a game with a 1-0 lead. However, a team with Yashin started with a 2-0 lead, to highlight how powerful his presence was between the sticks. Yashin finished his international career in 1970 with 74 caps behind him and retired from Moscow the following year. After his retirement, Yashin spent 2 decades at Dynamo Moscow in multiple administrative roles. So
what was Yashin's legacy?
Yeah, so Lev Yashin was said to have revolutionized the role of the goalkeeper. Before Yashin's time, keepers stayed on the line for the majority of the 90 minutes. Lev changed that completely by coming for crosses, coming for corners. He regularly came out of his box to avert danger, and was often referred to as the world's first sweeper keeper. So for the likes of Manuel Neuer, Bernd Leno, ter Stegen, and a few others, he was
Bernd Leno,
the world's best keeper now. He was seen as the pioneer of that. He wasn't the tallest keeper around, but was said to be brilliant with his reflexes, his throwing, and positioning. He saved over 150 penalties for club and country. I'm just going to stop for a second.
Pretty crazy.
150 penalties.
Well, I wonder if you could save a famous Graham Alexander outside of the boot rocket that we've discussed on earlier podcasts.
Where what you said was originally wrong.
Could. That's not wrong. He used to take it with the outside of his boot. He smashed it down the middle like Lampard, but a bit more panache.
Would he have saved it? Who else has scored quite a lot of penalties? Letizia only missed one.
But Letizia is one of them again where his highlight reel is amazing. But I'd love to see or love to hear from a Southampton fan of that. If there's any Southampton fans listening who were there during his heyday, can you please get in touch and let me know if he was actually any good? Thank you.
So yeah, he saved over 150 penalties for club and country, and famously stated, "The joy of seeing Yuri Gagarin flying in space is only superseded by the joy of saving a good penalty." I'm pretty certain Yuri Gagarin is the first Russian to be put in space along with others. And obviously,
Yeah.
saving a penalty is the only thing that betters that, which is good to know from Lev.
Cheers, Lev.
Yashin was voted the best keeper of the 20th century, beating the likes of Gordon Banks, Peter Shilton, Dino Zoff, Iker Casillas, and Oliver Kahn. There is now the Yashin Trophy, which is a new trophy specifically for the best keeper in the world. The current holder and the only winner is Alisson. It started like last year. Congrats, Alisson, on that award.
Yeah, I've got Iker Casillas as well. I'm glad to see he's on that list because he just seemed to be. I mean, he was such a mainstay at Real Madrid, such a legend of the game, and then just seemed to be cast away and then end up at Porto. I don't know about his time at Porto. I don't know how well he did then. Yeah, I think he's retired now, but it's good to see him amongst the plaudits. I think we also take for granted like how much the football has changed over time, like how much it's evolved from the game that was in the early, say, 20th century that what it is now, and the role of the goalkeeper has possibly changed more than any other position. So even up to 92, there was no back pass rule, for example, which now is a fundamental part of the game. You mentioned a sweeper keeper, but the way in which a lot of Premier League sides are playing football, a lot of teams across the world, is involving their goalkeeper very much from starting their attacks, which you could have done back in the day with a throw, but it's very much, as you said, customary to stay in your line or stay deep in your box in case the possession was retained. So yeah, I mean, look at the likes of Edison, Neuer, Pickford, Bernd Leno, of course, wouldn't want to miss him. They've become so much more than what possibly the keeper role used to be.
Yeah, well,
100 years ago.
You saw that goal that, was it Che Adams scored against City, where Edison was literally maybe 25, 30 yards from his box because Guardiola sees him as an outfield player. These guys aren't seen as just goalkeepers anymore in modern football with some of the best managers. They're seen as that additional player. And I think what happened is Zinchenko got caught after Edison passed to him. Che Adams got it, but Edison was literally 30 yards off his line, so got lobbed and Southampton scored. But there are loads of positives to that. The passing ranges of these keepers and the ability that they have to pick a ball out makes them an incredibly useful asset to have. I mean, we've seen Neuer do it every game, it seems, where he's rushing out, playing a few passes. Edison as well. Alisson to a certain degree. I remember that Cruyff turn that went really wrong against, was it Leicester, in one of his early games last season. But it shows the confidence that these guys have at their feet now and how their managers encourage them to be quite forward-facing with the ball rather than just punting it aimlessly wide.
Yeah, it gets a lot of stick now, but I feel like one of the first goalkeepers to do that in the Premier League was actually David De Gea. When he came in, everyone was kind of amazed at how good he was with his feet and how he could distribute that to the wing-backs either along the ground or he could do so in the air aerially, which seems to be a theme as well, where particularly with a high press, if you can get a keeper who can clip that into certain areas, particularly out wide, beat that first line of the high block, then it's actually quite beneficial. And I've seen Edison do that quite a lot. Obviously, certainly Alisson do that quite a lot.
Seen Bernd Leno do it quite a lot as well. I think he missed him off the list. Yeah,
he's a good keeper. Good goalkeeper. I do not like. Just don't like the short sleeves. Just come on.
Oh, do you not? I'll tweet him after this, so don't worry about it.
So, well, building on that, do we overlook keepers for such awards?
Yeah,
the biggest awards.
The keepers you just mentioned, and if you look back through history, so Fergie's treble winners in '99, City's 100-point champions. The Bayern Munich side that recently won the Champions League have all had brilliant keepers in Schmeichel, Edison, and Manuel Neuer. But these guys rarely get discussed for the top honours during these huge successful runs. I mean, I believe City's 100-point champions, the player of the season was Van Dijk, I think. The City player didn't win it. I'm not 100% sure on that. Can't remember who won the best player in '99. It might have been Ginola, actually. I'm not too sure on that. But the point is that these keepers are rarely discussed for the top honours. These guys are integral for their sides. They've made exceptional contributions throughout the season, with the exception of Manuel Neuer, who has come quite high in Ballon d'Or voting that others are rarely spoken about. If you cast the net a bit wider, from the last 20, 30 years, apart from Buffon, who I think was ranked quite highly in 2006, and Oliver Kahn, many of the goalkeeping greats in football are rarely ever mentioned. People like Casillas, Cech, Gordon Banks, maybe even Dida for Milan are very rarely in the top 2, 3, 4, 5 in the Ballon d'Or voting. Naturally, the game will always be remembered. Will always remember, the great goal scorers and midfield maestros. But more, I think, should be done for the goalkeepers to get a fair say. Everyone's going to remember Henry scoring 30 goals, 20 assists. They're going to remember Jamie Vardy's fantastic season last year, Luis Suarez. But, the guys behind other teams, I think the light needs to be shone a bit more on them.
Yeah, and building on the City and Liverpool references, I think both have great sides, but what has taken them to the next level is the fact they've got their goalkeepers right. So Pep didn't favour Hart when he came in. He got basically dropped entirely. Brought in Claudio Bravo, seen as a kind of perhaps an interim, but wasn't up to the scratch. Eventually brought in Edison, who has been very good. Same at Liverpool. When Klopp came in, I believe it was Mignolet at the sticks. Still played quite a lot under Klopp, but then Karius was brought through. We also happened with Karius, and my heart goes out to Loris Karius for what happened in the Champions League final. I believe Klopp tried to stick with him afterwards. He played in pre-season the following season, but it just didn't work out. Now they have Alisson, and also Van Dijk came in at the same time. But now they have Alisson. Suddenly they've won Champions League, the Premier League. It's such a key position. I saw Gary Neville talk about on Sky Sports in relation to, I believe it was Kepa, who I also feel sorry for. A lot of fans just have no filter on Twitter. And when Mendy's came in, I've just been going mad at the fact that they might actually have a goalkeeper who is a little bit more up to scratch. But and there's also far more to a keeper's game than penalty saves and shot stopping. But these are often difficult to quantify. So if you think of areas such as like distribution, we talked about it earlier in terms of distributing to the wing backs, to midfield players. We talked about shot stopping, which is probably a lot easier to quantify than the former. Catching, for example, punching stats, all these things are far less powerful, I think, than goals and assists when you put them in the frame for choosing awards, just the Ballon d'Or. So you're trying to make a case for someone, obviously it's voted on, but you're making a case for someone as being the best in the world at his discipline or his sport. And you're comparing goals and assists with, say, catching and shot stopping. I think it gets overlooked personally, but it's very difficult to make that comparison when goals and assists are what win football games.
So, Gerard, I'm going to run this by you. Let's do a what-if scenario. I wish we had that like music that, they always do it when you reveal something, like in Scooby-Doo, but I can't imitate it. What if we gave keepers, right, 1.5 extra points per vote in Ballon d'Or voting? So, every time a keeper gets a vote, it counts as like 1.5.
It sounds like they'd always win it, but I don't know. I don't know what the voting... You talked about Neuer going quite high up. I think Buffon did after the World Cup win in 2006. I wonder if goalkeepers would just get the win every time. I've read a lot about how goalkeepers are just very individual players, and they train together, all the goalkeepers. They're almost very separate from the team. And so I almost feels like the award should always be separate. The disciplines are so different being a goalkeeper to being an outfield player. So I almost feel like a Ballon d'Or that encompasses the entire 11 doesn't really make sense. And also, I think having a Ballon d'Or that glorifies as one player as being the best in the world, when even players like Messi and Ronaldo, we're not going to get in that debate because we've only got a few more minutes. But they're very different players still. And I think to say that one person, and then American sports love glorifying single players, to say that one person is the best in the world, when one can be a goalkeeper, one could be a fullback or centre back like Van Dijk. And even if they're attackers, they could be so different when you compare likes of Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Neymar. We're saying they're the best in the world, but glorifying them. Should we be doing that anyway?
Oh, that's a deep question. I think it is badly skewed, the award system. There are many fantastic greats in the game, defenders that don't get the honours that they should do, which maybe a different award system would be good for.
You do have the individual. You have obviously it's called the Lev Yashin Awards now, isn't it? The goalkeeping award, and you do have the individual positions, obviously, of the World 11. Perhaps that is good enough for someone like Alisson to win that. That's all from us. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Wire Football podcast. Please don't forget to follow us at wirefootball_. Please also follow and subscribe with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Acast for immediate access to future episodes. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.